The seventh part is called Cunning Krishna. This is the longest chapter of the poem, the most mystical, and the most personal. It is about the inner conflict of the individual soul. It shows us that our doubts, our fears, are self-inflicted torments. There are many things that harm us, caused by our own thoughts, which are themselves caused by what we choose to see. The story in the poem describes Radha going to meet Krishna at the meeting place arranged by her friend. But when Radha comes, Krishna is not there. This rejection brings out her worst fears, which she visualizes based from her own experience. It is these that Jayadeva explores, by repeating the meaning in different ways, to remind us that the only refuge for this inner conflict is Krishna. Radha sees it is already nighttime. Conscious of the passage of time, she feels aged beyond her lifespan. The individual soul will see that time is moving on, and will ask herself if she has wasted her life. She will feel betrayed by her own unfulfilled plans and unrealized ambitions. Just when we promised to meet, Harry avoided the woods. The flawless beauty of my youth is barren now. Whom can I seek for refuge here? My friend's advice deceives me. The individual soul asks, how do I even know if Krishna is aware of me? If he knows the past, present, and future, how do I even know Krishna is aware of my situation, in the here and now? It seems like a paradox that he should be focused on me and my problems. I wait among countless forest reeds. Madhu's killer does not recall me, even in his heart. The individual soul should remind herself that existence is made of intricate parts, each being important in the interdependent reality, like the refined segments in jewelry, which capture our attention to admire each part carefully as a glorious piece, or like the smallest of words, being important in a sentence, itself important in the chapter, itself important in the work as a whole. The details of the various parts of existence that we interact with daily remind us that Krishna is focused on everything without reducing anything or anyone's importance. Jayadeva's speech takes refuge at Hari's feet. Keep it in your heart like a tender girl skillful in love. When the individual soul is in pain, it wonders if this is part of destiny. Is it Krishna who wants me to suffer? Is his compassion a lie then? If this truth can deceive people, then everything must be a deception. Is it Krishna's plan to cause pain in the individual soul? Is it her fate to be attached to what causes pain and humiliation? Friends are hostile. Cool wind is like fire. Moon nectar is poison. Krishna torments me in my heart. But even when he is cruel, I am forced to take him back. Women with night lily eyes feel love and a paradox of passion-bound infinity. Time is revealed by the signs in heaven. The sun reveals the day. The darkness brings the night. Time reflects the divine will and plan for the universe as it is moving and changing. Time is a manifestation of the divine, but the signs of time are relevant to us. The same signs of time can also mean different things to different people depending on where they are. This creates another paradox. How can we find meaning in something that can mean the opposite of what we expect. The lonely moon, like the lotus face of Murar's foe, one in love's desolation, is calming the surface of my mind. But the moon is love's friend. It still inflicts its torments on my heart. Time is divided into individual components and is characterized by the movement of these parts. That is why astrology is called Ayanamsha, meaning the movement of components. These moving components are inside different divisions of time for themselves, so their meaning changes depending on who is observing them. It is because we don't know how Krishna sees time that we doubt in his compassion. While the moon rose and Madhava idled, lonely Radha cried her pain aloud in pitiful sobbing. Time is relative, divided into different sets of moving components that are relevant to different levels of consciousness. Time for human beings is divided into 4 periods, or Yuga, that are cyclical from the golden age to the age of darkness. Time for the divine mind, however, is divided into eons that stretch much longer periods, also known as Kalpa. A day of Brahma is different from our day. His lifespan of 100 years lasts trillions of our years. From our perspective, we are stuck in the 4 time periods. To despair and to suffer are characteristics of the last of the 4 ages, the Kali Yuga, which is the age of darkness. To connect with Krishna allows a person to go beyond the traits of this period. May Hari's delight in Jayadeva's song bring an end to this dark time. Radha is tortured by her fears, feeding off her memories, seeing them play out before her eyes. Krishna is making love to other women in the same way he used to do with her, so his focus is no longer on her, but on others. Her rivals must possess better qualities than Radha. They must be happier, and certainly they would want to show the world that they are happy. They are in Krishna's good graces, and they are in love with him. Who can resist his glory? The rivals must also play the game of seduction with him, sharing glances, laughing at his charming words. They change into beings of pleasure, being caressed and loved by one so gentle and passionate. The rivals must be happy, unlike Radha, who is miserable. There is no refuge for her. She wants to end her pain, but like the moonlight that betrays the secret paths of adulterous women, similar nets of light expose the guilt and bitterness of an angry soul to itself. As night came, the moon displayed cratered stains, seeming to flaunt its guilt and betraying secret paths of adulterous women, lighting depths of Brindaban forest with moonbeam nets. The individual soul has to go through different phases of growth. In the same way that time passes and a person grows from being a child to an adult, in the same way, the individual soul must go through unpleasant characteristics to find refuge in Krishna. These unpleasant characteristics are the 6 enemies of the mind, or Arishadvargas. They are the following: desire, or kama, anger, or krodha, greed, or lobha, arrogance, or madha, delusion, or moha, and jealousy, or matsarya. We become attracted to their call, so we become trapped in attachment to the destructive paths. When Radha saw her friend come back without Madhava, downcast and tongue-tied, suspicion raised a vision of some girl delighting Krishna. The only refuge from the 6 enemies of the mind is in Krishna, in his being as God, and in his example as a person, because as a person, he has overcome them himself, as he connected to his divine personality. In the same way, following his example, we can also overcome the 6 enemies of the mind by connecting to the divine reality. Jayadeva, king of poets, echoes Hari's merit in the mood of his song. Let evil dark age rhythms cease at the feet of Madhu's foe. Krishna's words are expressions of his divine understanding. His speech restores harmony to the inner conflicts of our souls. They are like caresses that instantly soothe our worries and restore our joy, which we thought had vanished forever. His mellow speech is elixir of honey. Sandal mountain winds won't scorch her. Wildflower garlanded Krishna caresses her friend. Krishna's body, like our own, is made of parts. He uses each of his parts to bring joy, and through it, he removes the confusing burden that was there, which we thought was immovable. His hand and feet gleam like hibiscus blossoms. Cold moon rays won't make her ride. Krishna can focus on different parts as they become different things through the span of their time, and still cherish them for their uniqueness. Her broad hips are a temple of passion, holding love's golden throne. He lays a girdle of gemstones there to mark the gate of triumph. Affection is the aspect of love that allows itself to be given, to be shared. Affection can be shared in a great number of ways. Just as we are made up of different parts, our affection can be divided in different ways. The poem shows that affection is as diverse as all the parts of existence. There are unending combinations of ways to share affection, and this makes the beloved feel treasured. In this way, Krishna shows that every person is celebrated. Her rapt face shows the passion of her lips feel kissing him. With deer musk, he draws the form of a stag on the moon. In woods behind the sandbank on the Yamuna river, Murra's foe makes love and triumph now. The solution to our problem is at our fingertips. Physical intimacy and affection are there to allow us to connect and share the love we have. But how do we allow ourselves to share? The guideline of how to liberate our affection is through visualization. By seeing ourselves doing something, we allow ourselves to be what we want. Visualization is the path to overcome the 6 enemies of the mind, because visualization is itself an instrument of the mind. See, his tenderness and love draws my heart to meet him. It is trying to break away from the pain of longing for him. Radha sees Krishna with the Gopis. He is loving each and every one of them, and each of them thinks he is alone with her. Radha is witness to this greatest of divine mysteries, the Rasalila, or the divine dance of love. Each of the Gopi is made to feel beautiful. She is richly arrayed in ornaments for the battle of love. Tangles of flowers lie wilted in her loosened hair. Some young voluptuous beauty revels with the enemy of Madhu. If we visualize Krishna showing affection to different beings, we can also focus on the affection being shared and receive our share of joy too. We can join the dance and allow ourselves to be loved in our turn. But following the 6 enemies of the mind, Radha is tormented by this vision of Krishna being with other people. When we choose to follow the enemies of the mind, we stay in this world of conflict where we are enemies to each other. While Balarama's fickle brother is delighting some pretty girl, why does barren disgust haunt my bower of branches? Tell me, friend.